Hello and welcome to this Bioprocess International Ask the Expert webcast. I'm your host, Leah Rosen, the online editor for Bioprocess International. Before we get started, just a couple of notes. This webcast is being recorded and will be made available for replay in the multimedia section of our website. We've muted the audio lines, but we welcome you to type in your questions at any time for our speaker in the chat window on your screen. After the presentation, we will begin the question and answer portion, and I will ask our speaker your questions from the chat window. Your questions in the chat window will only be visible to myself and our speaker. So thank you again for joining us today. It is now my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Vincent Machois.
Okay, so thank you everybody to be there. So in this presentation today, I will discuss about continuous chromatography using BioSC. And in fact, I will, in this presentation, the main topic will be first the BioSC, so I will present you the technology. Then I will bring an overview of the operating mode on the regulatory consideration, and then I will discuss the challenges represented by viral clearance when you are switching from batch process to continuous process. Let's make a short description of what is BioSC. So BioSC is a multi-column continuous chromatography you can use for standard bioprocess where you need to capture, such as for ion exchange or protein A capture. This multi-column continuous chromatography can allow to perform all the classical bind and elute step. You can perform the standard process for this kind of chromatography, and the main advantage, except the fact that you can run continuously, is the fact that you will have access to the total capacity, the static capacity of the resin. What are then the main advantages linked to this characteristic? First, you will be able to achieve a reduction of the production cost. Resin, buffer, volume can be reduced. You can improve the productivity. You can also reduce the size of the system, the size of the footprint. Then you can also streamline the process. How BioSC is working. BioSC, a run of BioSC, is in fact the repetition of a number of identical cycles. And a cycle is composed of periods, repetition of periods, allowing for all the columns to run the entire process. In fact, the key thing here is to be able to operate at a steady state in order to be sure that all the critical attributes stay the same. That's why, by using this technique, you need to make a specific characterization of the start or of the end of the production. But in terms of result, comparing to batch, there is no change. Starting from a load material, you recover different fractions of impurities, of eluted fraction, and of waste. What does that mean now on a regulatory point of view? Let's first go back to the guideline and to the definition. If we look to the definition of a batch, so a batch is defined as a specific quantity having a uniform characteristic. A lot is defined as the identifying portion of a batch produced in a unit of time or a quantity. So that means that the definition of a batch of a law are fully applicable. In addition of that, there are no specific regulation, no specific guidance dependent on the technology you are using. So you can apply the guidance as they are. The only thing you have to demonstrate is you are able to keep the critical attribute as they are. So you need to control again the steady states. Let's move forward now to the viral clearance. Here, for this presentation, I have used as an example the standard DSP MAB process. For a MAB, for a process of a MAB expressed from SHO, as you may know, the main risk is coming from the retrovirus. As you may know also, there are different steps where you can achieve the viral clearance. So the pH inactivation after protein A, the nanofiltration at the end of the process, and you can also use some of the chromatography steps in order to achieve an efficient viral clearance. The validation of this process implies that first you will define and validate a scaled-down model, and after that you will perform spiking study in order to show the efficiency of this viral clearance. Let's look at the pH inactivation. If you are performing a pH inactivation after a batch chromatography, the pH inactivation itself will be a batch inactivation. When you are in this case, the critical process parameter are quite obvious. You can use a worst case condition, and the scaled-down model is quite easy. You have just to use a scaled-down model where you are applying an efficient mixing. If now you are considering a continuous process for the protein A using the BioSC. In fact, you have different approaches you can use, and here what we have selected an approach where the pH inactivation will be done using a periodic process. So for that, if you do so, there will be no regulatory change. You will have just to use a carousel of batches, but the critical process parameter will be identical. You still can be able to use the same worst case condition, and the scaled-down model will be identical. Here, you will have just to design a process, and it will be your main issue. Design a process where you will apply a sequential drum rotation where in parallel of your BioSC process. We have considered this kind of process. So here you have a process where we are performing protein A affinity using a BioSC with 3 columns, and followed by a pH inactivation where you need to inactivate in 1 hour. And this is followed by an ion exchange chromatography, a batch ion exchange chromatography. And you have 2 options you can consider. Either after pH inactivation, you will do pH neutralization, or you will perform a direct injection of the ion exchange. If you consider the first option, you will need, in fact, 2 lines of drum. You will collect the elution from the BioSC during 4 periods, and after that, you will make the switch to the second line of drums. In parallel of that, you will do the pH inactivation, and after 1 hour, you will transfer to another drum in order to do the neutralization. By doing so, you have at least almost 1 hour and a half in order to perform this operation of the change of the bag. If you are now considering to use to inject directly the ion exchange, here you will need 3 lines of drum. You will elute the BioSC in 1 line of drum. After a cycle, you will make a switch to another line of drum. After 1 hour of pH inactivation, you will inject the ion exchange. Because of the 2 cycles, you need to have a 3rd line of drum, and because they are on overlap, you need 2 chromatography columns in order to perform this periodic process in parallel of the continuous process. And here, the interswitch, I mean the time you need to change the bag and to reuse the line of drum is about 2 hours. You can also want to use chromatography to perform viral clearance. When you are doing that in batch, in fact, you will follow the standard approach to design the process and to validate the efficiency of the process for viral clearance. If you are moving now to BioSC, sorry, too quick. If you are moving to BioSC, concerning the process design, you have just to take in account the specificity of the BioSC process by defining the static binding capacity and also operating at steady state. You have to adapt the lifetime study, but you will have to define a specific scaled-down model specific to the continuous process. We have, in collaboration with Texel, defined this scaled-down process. In fact, the scaled-down process of a BioSC process, here I have taken as an example an ion exchange chromatography process. It will be the direct scale down of this process where we will use the same number of columns and where we will use the same length for the bed height. We will just reduce the size of the diameter of the column, and we will use the same linear velocity. And we have considered that it's possible to mimic the steady state by only performing 3 cycles. Because the start of the production and the end of the production are not part of the steady state, we will only perform the spiking of these 3 cycles. In conclusion of that, we are obtaining the following procedure. This procedure is based on 1% spiking at each period. It's possible to operate within less than 1 day, and by doing so, you can recover results in triplicate, and you can achieve up to 5 log of viral reduction. We have estimated that the cost will be between 50 to 60k euros per virus validation. So, what are the main conclusion of my presentation when you are considered to switch from batch to continuous? First, concerning the process design, it is a simple adaptation of the batch procedure. And the key issues is to be able to design a process where you will operate at a steady state. Concerning now the regulatory, there are no specific regulation to apply. So you apply the same regulation you are used to apply when you are developing and validating batch processes. Here again, the key word is the steady state. you have to be able to show, to validate the steady state, and to show that you are able to well control the steady state. You may also, but concerning the viral inactivation, which is really a key part in the validation of the process, if you are performing a periodic process, in fact, there is no change if you are considering this kind of approach. However, and it was the case if you consider the chromatography as a viral clearance step by itself, you need, in this case, to develop specific validation approach. But here, the fact that we have this mobile equipment allow to very easily apply this downscale model. So I don't know if you have some question, and I will be very happy to answer.
Thanks, Vincent. So we do have some questions. The first one, because purified product is eluted in series, how do you determine the inactivation time for pH inactivation?
In fact, as it is done in series, but as you can see in the presentation, the time of inactivation remains the same, 60 minutes. And we have defined in this example that the maximum holding time will be of 3 hours. So in all cases, you do not stay more than 3 hours, so more than the max holding time you have defined during your process understanding, during your process development.
Okay. And what are the main benefits of introducing batch stages in a continuous process?
In fact, you can consider that as a disadvantage because it's less streamlined than doing a fully continuous process, but I really see that as an advantage. The reason why I see that as an advantage is really because that will allow you to have a better control of the process, and in case of issue, to be able to put in place mitigation plan without jeopardizing the whole batch. So that's why I think it is really what I think. I think that the right approach is really a mixing of continuous process for chromatography with a periodic process when you need, and it is the case for pH inactivation, where you need to have this level of control.
Okay. And can column switching be driven by OPC or PAT management software in your continuous process to manage steady state?
Yes. We have the BioSC is equipped to allow to support path management. So we have online detector, and we are also working on implemented advanced control on this equipment.
Okay. And your example is for monoclonal antibodies, but can we use for chromatography where it needs gradient elution?
No. Here, this technology, so the technology as I'm presenting today, so the BioSC or the SMCC is a technology where you cannot use gradient, but we have also developed a technology based on gradient at Novacep. But it means that it's not a change concerning the regulatory impact, and it will not change also what you have to consider when you have to handle viral clearance. And I shall say that I really prefer to avoid gradient approach because it is less robust.
Okay. And the last question, how many drums and valves are required for low pH inactivation with the drums approach you represented?
Number, I do not recall precisely the number of drums as I have presented. It's 2 or 3. So you have enough time to switch the bag. Okay, because as you can see in the example, we use a 200-liter bag, so not a big bag. So the handling of the bags are quite easy. And concerning the number of valve, more than in the standard bags, but exactly I do not recall. But
okay.
Not an enormous number of valves.
Okay. Well, thanks, Vincent, and thank you all for joining us and for your questions. If we didn't get to your questions, they will be passed to Vincent, and he can follow up with you directly. We'll also be sending you some contact information to ask follow-up questions. The recorded version of this webcast will be available for on-demand viewing on our website, and as a registered attendee, you will receive a follow-up email providing you with a direct link. We look forward to having you join us at our future Bioprocess International Ask the Expert webcast. We have a full lineup covering many aspects of bioprocessing scheduled for the duration of the year. Look for those announcements in your inbox. So thanks again, Vincent.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for listening.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.